Zebby Matthews makes his MLB debut as the Twins beat the Royals for the second night in a row. We're breaking it all down on the Locked On Twins postcast.
You are Locked On Twins postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Okay, back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, CJ Baumgartner, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. He's on X. Give him a follow, at BaumCJ30. I'm just letting you know right now, man. I'm going to say the name Zebby Matthews at least 30 times tonight because that's got to be one of the best names in baseball. I'm just warning you right now. I'm already at 2.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Plenty to get into. But first, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, game 2 versus KC. Still trying to chip away at Cleveland here. It was Zebby Matthews making his MLB debut on the mound. One of the top pitching prospects left here in the Minnesota Twins farm system. Needed some run support for the kid, though, and they delivered. Bats got popping again, second night in a row. 15 total team hits on the night. 13 runs scored. Total team effort. More than enough for Zebby. He went 5 strong, no walks, 5 Ks, 2 earned runs. Twins win this one 13-3. They win game 2 versus KC. Division lead, still 3.5. Cleveland won once again versus the Cubs 2-1. Give me your biggest takeaways, kind of your 8 topics. Then we'll do a deep dive on Zebby's day a little bit more next.
Yeah, well, outside from Zebby, I mean, the big story of the game is just the bats got going. They got 3 runs in the first inning. And yeah, there was an error that kind of led to that. But really, the Twins put the ball in play and they hit the ball really hard. And they just kept doing that all night long. It didn't matter which pitcher that they throw, whether it was Lugo, whether it was any of their bullpen arms that the Royals threw out. And I thought the Twins missed an opportunity yesterday to have an offensive output like this to chase that starter early and make the Royals really have to chip away at their bullpen. They did that tonight and really just sets them up for, game 3 of this series, because not only because of this high offensive output are the Twins able to chip away at the Royals bullpen, but now Griffin Jax and Juan Duran have been able to sit for a few days now and should be ready to go, not just for tomorrow's game against the Royals, but you got a 4-game set against Texas coming up. So just huge that you've been able to keep enough of a lead the last 2 days where your high leverage bullpen arms can rest up for when they're needed.
Yeah, really good point there. Great breakdown. All right, let's dive into the 8 topic a little bit more. Zebby Matthews making his long-awaited MLB debut. Pretty rock solid, man. 5 innings, 5 hits, 0 walks, 5 Ks, 77 pitches. Enough to get his first career victory. So let's hear it. How impressed were you, I guess? How encouraged are you now that he could be kind of a new cog in this machine now when it comes to this starting rotation? Or is that still kind of way too much to put on a rookie after just 1 start?
Well, that's going to go without saying is you can't get too high or too low on pitching prospects, as we've learned with Simeon Woods Richardson, David Festa, even guys like Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan. Like, there's some ebb and flows. You got to take some good with some bad. So, whatever. I'm saying this right away, so that way now I can say I was really impressed.
You set the bar low. You did well. Yes. Right. Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting all that as a precursor. That way now I can just say all this without having to repeat myself. Zebby Matthews, I'd say I give him a solid B+ out there. He only pitched 5 innings, but his pitch count in St. Paul, he never really had thrown much past, I think, really 85 pitches. So you're not really going to have him do that in his first MLB start, especially when the Twins rotation is as injured as they are, where it's maybe going to be best to save him, especially when your offense is doing as good as they are. You can throw some low leverage bullpen arms out there. But overall, the big thing was Zebby Matthews. He fits the profile like David Festa, like Bailey Ober, late round Twins draft picks, right-handers from nowhere colleges that are not known for baseball. They're tall and they got some good arm action, and they end up getting into the Twins system. And within a year, they bump up about 2 to 3 miles up on their fastball. And that's the same thing with Zebby Matthews. He threw, maybe 93, 94 on his fastball getting out of college. And then in the minors, he topped it out at 97. So for him to be able to do that's been huge. He's got think 4 other pitches to develop at some point. Now, whether that gets trimmed down as his career goes on or whether he keeps that big arsenal, the point is he's got a fastball that can move, and trying to work on that cutter, that slider, or a couple of the pitches that kind of stick out as his other secondaries. But the big thing with him, he throws for 97 with the fastball, but he also has good command. Where Festa, we talked about with him, he struggles a little bit with that command. Somebody's got to develop as his career goes on. Not Zebby Matthews. That guy is around the strike zone, and not just around the strike zone and like they put the ball in play, creates a lot of swing and misses. And that's what's really enticing if he ends up getting another shot with the Twins throughout the season.
Yeah, great breakdown there. So you're going to have 3 rookies in the mix now, obviously. How it looks exactly, we won't know. But SWR, Festa, and Zebby, and you just really pumped us up on Zebby now, okay? I'm jacked up now about Zebby's potential. Here's my question. If you're building a team from scratch, let's just say, who's the guy of those 3 you're picking first to build around? And also, who's got the highest upside, I guess? Maybe that's 2 different answers. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's Simeon Woods Richardson, just for the fact that you've seen him do it more in the big leagues.
Big sample.
Yeah, his ceiling is, not as high maybe as a Zebby Matthews with the 97-mile-an-hour fastball, but the fact that Simeon Woods Richardson has been able to consistently go out and not just pitch 5 innings, but we've saw over the last couple starts, he's been able to go 6, 7. You just see him kind of take that next step. So if you're starting a rotation and you got to pick one of those rookies to jam into a spot, it definitely would be Simeon Woods Richardson. Now, obviously, Zebby Matthews, it's hard to tell because, I mean, he's just developed so fast. You don't really know what his ceiling quite is yet. Festa, coming into the season, was the Twins' best pitching prospect. So relatively speaking, I think he's probably the guy you would consider the one with the most ceiling. But Zebby Matthews, remember, he started the year in high A Cedar Rapids, got called up to Double A quickly, then ended up getting to Triple A, and now, thanks to some injuries, has just found himself in a spot to be pitching in the big league. So Zebby Matthews does have a nice little ceiling to, I'm going to say he could develop into an ace, but could develop into a nice 2-3, rotation arm for this Twins team.
So where does Louis Varland fit into this whole equation too, by the way? Any idea what maybe like the blueprint or game plan is with him and, where he fits, I guess, in this rotation as well?
Yeah, I mean, I know people are always going to say, well, Louis Varland was in the bullpen last year. Just move him into the bullpen full time, be done with it. But as the Twins have learned, there's a lot of injuries that come with that starting rotation, and you need depth because outside of Zebby Matthews, I don't know who the Twins go to besides Louis Varland. So, whether Louis Varland comes up and takes the spot that Matthews has in the rotation right now, or whether the way Zebby pitched today, he earned another opportunity. I mean, he still has a piece in this rotation. He still has a home. And at the very least, if you feel like it's just not going to happen throughout the next month, well, then you call him up in the last couple weeks of the season and you stretch him out to be a bullpen arm, and then he's ready for a playoff run.
The other obviously kind of a topic or big component, I should say, to this whole thing is run support. Getting run support for these guys. Not always a strong suit for this lineup, though. The last 2 games, though, they've been popping off. Like you kind of teased at the top. 21 runs, I think, the past 2 nights now. 13 runs tonight alone. 7 off Seth Lugo, who's arguably, a top 3, top 5 pitcher at worst in the AL this year. 25 hits in 2 games. Who's been the biggest catalyst to this kind of recent success at the plate?
I mean, Royce Lewis has had a couple good games. Matt Wallner had a really nice game. I think the fact of really that, I mean, Jose Miranda was a home run away from the cycle today. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really been kind of a key effort because you don't have Carlos Correa right now and Byron Buxton's day to day. And we all know Royce Lewis has his injury issues throughout the season. So the fact that it's different guys were coming up, and I mean, geez, can't believe I'm forgetting this name. Christian Vasquez, a home run today. That guy's all of a sudden crushing the ball. I think I heard he has an OPS of over 1,000 since like June or something like that.
Stop it. Not my Christian Vasquez. No way. What? 2 RBIs tonight, 1 for 3, 1 home run. Yeah, man, he's been killing it.
He's been doing so well. And I think it just goes to show that, again, it's up and down, but the fact that when this Twins offense is on, it's not just one player, it's everybody contributing. Max Kepler at a 3-run home run today. I mean, really it's just 1 through 9 who've been playing good baseball the last couple days. And it's just big because again, run support is huge. Give Zebby Matthews. We're talking about how great Zebby Matthews pitched, and he did pitch great. Don't get me wrong. Not perfect, but really good. And Simeon Woods Richardson pitched great. on Saturday night, and we're done talking about them because the Twins ended up losing that ball game. So run support is huge. And for that to, in your first MLB start, to get all of that run support, very, very nice.
Yeah, very nice. But again, with the run support, Jekyll and Hyde, though, right? Kind of been the theme this year, I guess. And I mean, for one, it's been injuries. Sure, I get that. But then when you do get a lot of injuries, just when you think, man, no Buxton tonight, no Correa still, obviously, here we go again. They put up a big crooked number like they did tonight. But where's the consistency, though? I guess that's the $1 million question, right?
Right. And a lot of it comes from hitting with runners in scoring position.
So true.
And the Twins did such a good job with that today and yesterday. And in the last couple games of the Cleveland series, especially that 9th inning. I mean, that's where runners in scoring position is going to haunt you. Because if the Twins, the last couple games in the Cleveland series were awful with runners in scoring position. Now, the last 2 days, they're good. And some of that's, just the Twins being inconsistent on offense. And we've seen that. And having guys injured plays a part in that. The other thing is, it is just baseball, too. And baseball is a cruel game. I think on the post-game show on Bally, Justin Morneau and Roy Smalley called it a stupid game in that way. And I think Tim Laudner agreed. And those guys are pretty good baseball players. So it can be a dumb, annoying, frustrating game. And some days, you come up and you score 13 runs because you can drive everybody in. And some days you can get 10 runners on base and not bring a single one of them home. And that's just kind of the ebbs and flows of a regular baseball season.
Yeah, well said there. All right, Rocco report time. So game 2 versus Kansas City, the Rocco report, it says what?
I think Rocco, again, did a nice job managing the bullpen and just kind of letting some of those lower leverage guys go and eat up those innings. You didn't see Alcala, Sands, Duran, Jack's pitch, and that's pretty standard, especially with the way the Twins were. I would have liked, just on a personal level, I don't hold this against Rocco, but on a personal level, I would have really liked to see Zebby Matthews go out and try that 6th inning, have a big lead, let the rookie go. There is a case to be made, and it talked about the pitch count, but there's also a case to be made of, he had a good start, a good opening debut, gave up a home run, gave up a couple hits, but at the end of the day, he had a really nice big league debut. Why not let him leave with that instead of leaving him a little bit too long and kind of have it end on a little bit of a sour note? Let him have this and build on it, and then kind of let him earn the multiple innings. And I think that's probably what's going through Rocco's head, because we saw with David Festa and we saw with Simeon Woods Richardson also this year.
Yeah, it makes sense both ways. You kind of get it. And again, you're right. Kind of broke it down well. You're right. You just can't. You knew Rocco, as much as we wanted to see it as fans, you knew Rocco was just not going to push his luck. Not with him in his first start. Plenty more deep dive from this one. Plus, we got our nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. In eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, they got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, they got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back with all the parts you need at the prices you want. Easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Okay, weekly bid on the show. The Athletic just came out with their weekly power rankings. Take a guess where your Minnesota Twins are at this week.
Well, I'm going to guess, based on the fact that they ended up splitting with Cleveland. Ooh, I'm going to say that they're like 9th. I'm going to go 9th.
They are 9.
All right, let's go.
Big drop actually from 6, though. 6 to 9. Boom, nice. Kansas City right behind them at 10. Cleveland at 5. You got Yankees and Orioles 1 and 2. And also you got Astros right behind KC at 11 too. So does that all sound kind of, about right? Does that feel about right? 6 to 9, kind of a big drop, I felt like, for splitting with Cleveland last week. Not sure exactly what happened there.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just how the series ended and the fact that Twins lost the final 2 games. So whenever you're making those, like it just kind of, it's recency bias. Yeah, plays a little bit of a hand. Also the fact that the Twins did lose a series to the Cubs and Joe Ryan is out. So if you're like, it depends. If you're focusing on the results, you could look at it that way. If you're somebody who's looking at like big picture, the fact that Joe Ryan got hurt maybe knocks them down a peg of like overall,
Yeah.
Just the quality of their starting rotation goes down. So I can see why at the end of the day, the Twins are still a top 10 team. And, the team that's right behind them in the Kansas City Royals and that power rankings and in the standings, you got a big series W, and that's important as well.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Sweet Lou last night. Do you feel better or do you feel worse than you did after the Cleveland series? Because on one hand, they did do some really nice things in that 4-game series. On the other hand, you gained literally zero ground on them, right? Not to mention, the reality of all those injuries that took place, when they reported them all Friday morning, I think it was, really hit home, it felt like, when they lost those last two after beating Cleveland the first 2 games, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it just left. I don't know. It almost felt like a tie, in a way, because they did split the series.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, you don't feel bad about it. You don't feel necessarily great about it either. And again, recency bias played into a factor for me. I did feel a little more like, you just had a chance to step on their throats a little bit. You had a chance to not only gain ground, but if you would have swept them, which I know is hard in a 4-game series with any team,
Cleveland swept Minnesota, right? Earlier in the year.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, it's in play.
Happen. Yeah.
And you could have left in first place, but you didn't lose ground. Now, at the end of the day, you're still, the glass half full is you didn't lose ground. You're right there with them. Cleveland's still scuffling, and you still have another month plus of the season to go. But on the flip side is, still 3.5 games back. It's not insurmountable, but it's still not, it's going to take some time to chip away at, and you're starting to run out of games. There's, 40-ish games left to go in the season.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of time. And now Cleveland won the season series, which means they own the tiebreaker over the Twins because there's no tiebreaker games anymore. So the team with that best head-to-head record gets the tiebreaker, which is what Cleveland now has. Also, the Twins have the tiebreaker over the Royals now, so that's another good thing. But overall, yeah, I think I felt like I just wanted a little bit more out of that series.
Well said. Agreed as well with you. A lot of different ways to look at it. It was just a very Jekyll and Hyde performance in series as well. Very high for a few games, very low for a few games as well. I'm trying to do some quick math here to see how many games they got left. 67 and 52, so that's 119 games played, so that's 43 games left, if I'm not mistaken. So quick math there. I think I know the answer to this question. I think I know who you're going to say, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Who's more important to this team these last 43 games, Joe Ryan or Carlos Correa?
I mean, if just talking about the stretch run, I think you'd probably, that's a good question because, I mean, obviously Carlos Correa is just a better overall player. He's a better bat. He does, like, he's important. So I'm not trying to take anything away, but just the fact of that's an experienced big league pitcher.
I know,
over a stretch run, and you're relying on 3 rookies now or Louis Varland coming in, which again, none of them themselves are a bad option, but when you're relying on all of them to be productive, it's putting a lot of pressure on Bailey Ober and Pablo Lopez to be perfect, almost in the way the Twins were a couple years ago with Sonny Gray and Joe Ryan when everybody else got hurt behind them. So that's what, again, and Carlos Correa is one of one, but Willie Castro's done a nice job in at shortstop. Not great, but has done good enough. And at some point you'll get Brooks Lee back, and that adds to some infield depth where there's not a ton of starting pitching depth, proven big league starting pitching depth behind Joe Ryan. So I feel like for that stretch run, and if the postseason began, Joe Ryan is important because he's just a big league caliber starting pitcher.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a wrong answer there either way.
Right.
I thought maybe you were going to go Carlos Correa because from me, I guess I want Carlos Correa. I want my captain. He's the leader.
Yes.
There's more than just the physical stuff and what he brings to the field. It's an emotional game too, the human element. I want my captain. I want my leader back. And that doesn't mean I don't want Joe Ryan back as well. And I'll probably means I'm putting too much stock into Zebby Matthews' first career start, what we've seen from David Festa, SWR, relying on him, continuing to do that some more and more. But just from what I've seen, knowing you also got your top 2 in Pablo and Bailey Ober, I think I'd rather have Carlos Correa, but it is very close. That's why I asked.
That guy does have ice in his veins.
That's true. He does. We all know that. Nerdy stat of the daytime. You got some sort of crazy stat or fun, analytic Twins related?
Yeah, so we talked about, again, Zebby Matthews and the fact that he's just a dude that attacks the strike zone.
Yeah.
Coming into today, and it only got better, His minor league strikeout to walk ratio. You ready for this? 114 career strikeouts in the minor leagues, 7 walks.
Wow.
And he had no walks today and 5 strikeouts. So it's, if you combine majors and minors,
Dude.
119 strikeouts to 7 walks.
Dude, I think we might have something here with this guy. That almost, it's not quite, but that almost reminds me of the Joe Mauer high school stat where started all 4 years, freshman to senior year, 4 seasons, only struck out 3 times. Not on that level, but I'm just saying, like, that kind of reminds me. That is very impressive is my point. So that's a fun, crazy stat right there. I absolutely love it. Don't go anywhere. We got to preview game 3 versus the Royals. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, it's by far the easiest and most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. All you got to do is so simple. You pick more or you pick less on 2 or more player stats and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season, obviously in full swing. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code, and this is all lowercase, Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, game 3 versus KC tomorrow, going for the sweep. I got to imagine just mentally, maybe even emotionally, this team is just probably running on some fumes a little bit just after that 4-game, slugfest versus Cleveland. I'm sure took a lot out of them. But what's tomorrow got to look like to get this sweep?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Bailey Ober getting another good start up. And that's the thing. Bailey Ober, I think, has like a 2.8 ERA against every team except the Kansas City Royals, who've like gotten him for like 20 runs and 2 starts this season. So there's a chance that he could exercise some demons a little bit here tomorrow and put the Twins in a good spot. That being said, it's fascinating how you could look at it. Do you look at it if you're Rocco and say, hey, we got house money, we got a 4-game series on the road against Texas. Do we try and just cut our losses in this series? Or like, basically we already won 2 out of 3. Let's just go to Texas and try and win there? Or is it like, no, division game, Royals are right behind us, we have a chance to really just push them back for the time being, and we're going to go for the kill? It'll be fascinating to see kind of what the strategy is there. But overall, I think it's Cole Reagan's pitching tomorrow for the Royals, who again has been another nice pitcher for them. And we'll just kind of see if the Twins just have found a really good strategy against Kansas City. It's going to be really fascinating to see how this thing turns out. But I think it's all going to start with Bailey Ober. And if he can prove that the Royals had a fluky first couple starts against him, or if they really do have something on him.
Yeah, and I think Sweet Lou told us last night, Bobby Witt Jr.'s home and away splits are pretty insane. Like at home, he's like a Hall of Famer. On the road, he's still good on the road. Don't get me wrong, but like it's a massive drop off. So I'd just be curious to see Bailey Ober, who has got crushed by the Royals. To your point, as you mentioned, I would be curious to see Bobby Witt's numbers against Bailey Ober specifically, both at home and away. It's just be curious to see that. How daunting or how tough is this schedule coming up for the Twins now? I mean, let's just pull up the rest of the month here. After KC, 7 in a row on the road, Rangers, Padres. Then you got Cardinals, Braves, Blue Jays, all at home. So those 9 games in a row at home, that's kind of nice. But how daunting, just on paper, is this schedule they got? Obviously very little room for error here, being 3.5 back from Cleveland. How tough is this schedule?
Yeah, I mean, it's daunting. It really is. And I think the Twins have done a good job so far. I mean, you lost the series against the Cubs, but you did sweep the White Sox at the beginning of the month. We talked about that being important. And then they split with Cleveland and now won a series against Kansas City. So far they are holding their own throughout kind of this tough stretch. But yeah, I mean, there's no rest for this team. They have 4 in Texas and then 3 against the Padres. They don't have an off day for another 8 days. And we already talked about how their bullpen is kind of running on fumes a little bit, or has been in recent days. So it's going to be a big stretch for them. And really, we're going to know a lot about where the Twins are at. The Twins are still 3.5 games back or less of Cleveland by the beginning of September. There's a really good shot for them to do some stuff. But again, the things could flip and they could end up, falling behind Kansas City, which is why these two games are so important for this team.
So massive. And how many left versus Cleveland? Is it 4 or is it only 3?
4 in Cleveland.
4
3
in
more
Cleveland.
Royals in Kansas City, both those next month.
Wow. Okay. What else is going on around the league that we should be, I don't know, keeping tabs on? Like, what's your favorite non-Twins storyline or division race or a player to watch, whatever it may be? What's going on?
One thing just in baseball broadly, it's just fascinating to me about Blake Snell and how he didn't get traded and had not been good. And basically he kind of admitted to everybody like, hey, I've just been hurt. And maybe that's true because in the last month, he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. Threw a no-hitter a couple starts ago, had a shutout, I believe, or some just really good start. His last time on the mound, that's been fascinating to watch just as a player. But it's that AL wildcard race behind Kansas City. All of a sudden, Boston's starting to creep up on the Royals, and that'll be fascinating to see how that plays out for that final wildcard spot.
Always fun talking Twins with you, man. You are an elite baseball mind. Twins win their second in a row. Zebby Matthews, get to know that name, his first career victory tonight. 13 more runs scored. Bats are red hot. Lead still 3.5 games in the division. Game 3 tomorrow. First Kansas City. Bailey Ober on the mound. First pitch. It's an early one, 12:10 p.m. in the backyard at Target Field. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Rest assured, we're going to be back each and every game right here, breaking it all down. Make sure you go check out all of CJ's work, by the way, on X at BombCJ30. Plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. Haven't asked you in a while. Anything new as of late we can go check out you've been working on that's Twins related up there over at ZoneCoverageMN.com?
Well, I got something coming out pretty soon here, and it's breaking down Zebby Matthews' first big league start. So putting the finishing touches on that, so that's coming out shortly.
Love it. Can't wait to go check that out. Again, that's up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com. Sounds like in the next few days. Go like this video, subscribe to the channel. So close to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. All right, that'll do it for us. We got to get out of here. CJ Baumgartner, Luke Inman on X, at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.